Well, thank y'all for having me today, and we don't get to say this often, so let's hear it again for Texas Tech University for tonight. Hopefully we pull it off. All right, let's start off with here. We're here to talk about TexRail. It's a new commuter rail line, basically 27 miles from downtown Fort Worth to DFW Airport. I'm glad to say we basically completed this project on time and under budget, which is rare for these types of projects. And then basically a new year, new beginning. We did have our golden ticket ride, which was our grand opening December 31st. It was held at our DFW North Station parking ride lot. Approximately 500 people were in attendance. And the overall project itself, like I said, it's a 27-mile corridor commuter rail line. We have 9 stations. We start in Fort Worth with the TMP station. We've got the ITC, which we are renaming to the Fort Worth Central Station. We've got Northside and Mercantile Center Station in Fort Worth. Then we go to North Richland Hills. We have Iron Horse and Smithfield stations. Then we have Grapevine Main Street Station and DFW North, and then Terminal B. Terminal B station, please note that it was designed and constructed by DFW Airport themselves. So here's a picture of the first train arriving at DFW Airport. We began revenue operations on January 10th of 2019. And just to illustrate our ridership, the first month we did free rides up until February 1st. Ridership was really good overall. The first 50 days of service, we had 131,580 riders. We've averaged basically 2,600 a day. Basically, that's through February 28th. We're expected to carry 8,000 a day by the end of the year. All right, TexRail brings a new premium transportation option to North Texas, but I'd like to discuss a little bit how we got here. I'd like to give thanks to our team and stakeholders that got us where we are today. I'd like to start out with the federal agencies, the FTA, FRA, and FAA for their participation in our program. I'd also like to honor the program management consultant, which was CH2M Hill and Jacob's team. They're sitting right there at the table. John Thompson was the head of that. Design, I'd like to recognize Parson Trans Systems, which was a joint venture that basically led the design of the TexRail program itself. They're sitting at this table right here. We also had Urban Engineers, which did the parking ride lot designs in North Richland Hills. And then we had Hewitt Zollers. I don't know if anyone here is from Hewitt Zollers in the room, but they did our maintenance facility design. Construction, we had Archer Western Herzog, was the TexRail prime contractor. Then we had Imperial Construction do the maintenance facility. Other stakeholders, railroads, we had Union Pacific, TRE, Fort Worth and Western, BNSF, Amtrak, and the Grapevine Vintage Railroad and DART that helped us get where we needed to be. City municipalities, we had City of Fort Worth, we had the Tarrant County, North Richland Hills, Grapevine, TxDOT, DFW Airport, and TRWD, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Since time is short today, I'd like to focus on the major engineering and construction challenge we faced on achieving our overall goal, and it's known as the hole in the wall. And then I'll walk through our route and fare information, discuss what is next for Trinity Metro, and open up for questions. So let's just discuss the hole in the wall briefly. The hole in the wall sits just east of downtown Fort Worth. It consists of a 3-level interchange with the TRE, UP Duncan subdivision track on the lower level, UP Choctaw subdivision, which are 4 separate structures on the second level. And then we had Spur 280, which is a major highway that feeds downtown Fort Worth on the 3rd level. This picture right here is shown from early in the project, which shows the removal of a billboard that we had to do on the northwest side of the hole in the wall. This picture illustrates, in my opinion, the complexities TexRail construction faced at the hole in the wall. Although the TexRail project is 27 miles of basically new track construction, the hole in the wall would have been a major project all by itself. TexRail had to construct a second independent track on the lower level of the hole in wall while maintaining roadway and highway operations, keeping them intact with limited outages during construction. In order to get this new independent track constructed, it involved basically five phases to complete. The phases included construction of 2-track temporary shoe fly bridges to maintain 4 tracks in operation for the freight traffic on top at all times during construction. Construction of a 2-track permanent BNSF bridge, construction of a 2-track permanent UP bridge, replacement of a spur 280 bent cap, and then realignment of the TRE and the UP Duncan tracks on the lower level, and the construction of the new TexRail track. Oh, went too far. Here basically is our shoe fly construction. Shoe fly basically consisted of 260-foot linear feet, 5-span structures. They were precast double box beams on H-pile foundations. The shoe fly was basically just built. It was a temporary structures to basically shift the permanent freight, or shift the freight operations onto these tracks while we constructed the permanent bridges. Here's just a profile view of the shoe fly itself. You can see the TRE and Duncan on the lower part of the screen. This is probably one of the things I would have changed overall. I wish we would have accommodated and made a wider basically span over the TRE to allow us to basically complete the work on the bottom level at the same time, but we did not do that overall. Another thing that basically saved us time at the hole in the wall itself was the contractor came up with a plan to basically launch the bridges. So we basically pre-built them off-site and then launched them into place. The UP and BNSF bridges they were basically 2 76 linear feet, 2 steel plate girder bridges, single span bridges on they had skew drill shaft abutments. Like I said, the original plan was to build in place, but the contractor devised a plan to construct the bridges per plans and specs offline and then launch the bridges into place. Overall, the benefits saved the project a lot of time, and it limited the disruption on the rail traffic. Another thing that saved us time was we needed temp shoring to construct the permanent bridges. We came up with a micropile installation for the temp shoring systems. There basically were 30 micropiles per side. The micropile installation allowed us to do the work under Form B, so basically limited disruption to freight traffic on top. Once temp shoring was installed, it allowed us to excavate and build the abutments and the approach slab placements. Here's just a picture of the northern abutment of the UP structures being built with the micropile system put in place. Now we'll get into the launching of the bridge. Here's a picture of the runway girders, which basically we used a gantry system on the lower, which consisted of 4 gantries to support the runway girders, and I've got a video here in a little bit that we're going to watch, and it'll show basically the completion of the launching of the bridges and some of the work we did on 280. But here's basically a picture of the SPMT, which basically moved the bridge from where it was constructed to in place over the hole in the wall to where it could be jacked up and then dropped down in place. Here's a picture. This basically shows we had not only tight horizontal constraints at the hole in the wall, but we had vertical constraints with 280 on top. The gantries are in place down below, and the runway girders are being supported by 2 of the gantries. The other 4 gantries are going to lift the bridge once it's in place. Here's just another picture of the overall system. And basically, this is a pretty neat picture. We basically put lasers on all 4 corners of the bridges and had pinpoints on the abutments themselves to basically control the placement of the bridges. This equipment they used was very, very precise. It could be moved in millimeters to get it basically lined up to where it needed to be. And here's basically it's in place. They're lifting it off basically the SPMT, and then basically we just pull out the runway girders and drop it in place at that point. There's another picture where it's just totally jacked up in the air to be ready to be lowered into final location. Here it's being lowered. There it's basically installed. And there's a picture of the 4 tracks on top once we've basically completed the project. 280 bent replacement. They came up with the concept here to use temporary shoring jacks basically to support 280 and basically jack it up while they removed the existing bent columns and cap. And basically we had new columns cast outside the existing locations of the cap for a wider opening. So they brought the new cap in via rail on the UP side. And then basically we launched it onto the new columns. Oops. There's one picture in here I was gonna hope to find. I don't see it though, but anyway, so we put the new cap in, basically lowered everything back down, and I was really concerned that we were going to tear up the existing bridge deck on 280 with jacking up the existing structure, but luckily there was no damage. TxDOT bought off on everything, and we were good to go. So, and here's a picture basically of the hole in the wall itself once we've completed construction with the TexRail track next to the TRE track. And then if we want to watch this little video, it'll show you some of the bridge launching processes that went through and the 280 work. I should note that we did all the bridge launchings. We did 2 separate deals, and we had a 36-hour curfew that we completed the work with. I guess I should recognize Bo Coulter was the firm that did the launch, the bridge launch itself. AWH brought them on board to do the launch. just spur 280 work. And I should note we got all this completed basically in the month of September. That was critical to get it done in that month because the fair traffic started on TRE, the state fair traffic started on TRE, so we were not going to have a window basically for a month if we didn't get it done. So that would have set us back significantly if we didn't get this work completed by the end of September. You can tell they were working through the rain. Luckily, there was no lightning with any of the events, so we were allowed to work under the rainy conditions. And I should note that these videos were produced by our track superintendent with AWA's, Gordon Morales. If you go on YouTube, you can basically look up his name as Rico Suave, and he basically documented most of the textile construction, and his videos covering all of it. So he did a very good job. He's very talented. All right, we'll just go through a couple other photos of what we did with the textile construction along the textile route. Again, this was an existing structure. This is on TRE. This is where TRE crosses over Lancaster Avenue near 30, heading between the ITC and the TMP station. It is an existing bridge. Here's basically a pretty major structure that we constructed. It's basically our flyover over Peach Yard, which is a rail yard that's operated by Fort Worth and Western. It's owned by UP. It's roughly 4,200 linear feet in length, and it included grade separations of the UP Duncan main lines, Peach Yard tracks, and the UP Choctaw subdivision. Here's a picture of our new bridge across the Trinity River. It's roughly 1,875 linear foot new bridge over the Trinity River crossing, coordination with TRWD and the U.S. Corps of Engineers for this construction. 28th Street, we built two new bridges. Basically, they're two 128 linear foot through girder structures. The Texrail bridge was actually launched into place, and it was used as a shoe fly for the Fort Worth and Western traffic, while the freight bridge was built. Here's a picture of Northside Station. Northside Station is located at 28th Street and Decatur Avenue in Fort Worth. It has close proximity to the stockyards, the historic stockyards. It contains two separate parking ride lots with 175 total spots. Going next, here's another major structure we had. It's the Hodge Yard Bridge. It's basically a flyover of Hodge Yard. It basically flies over the legs of the Y that feed into Hodge Yard. Again, Hodge Yard is owned by UP and operated by Fort Worth and Western. This bridge consisted of it was a 16-span bridge that was 1,296 feet in length. Heading to the east, we get to our newly constructed maintenance facility. Our maintenance facility is a 6,000 square foot building. It's got basically two full-length bays for maintaining our equipment. It's located between Hodge Yard and the Mercantile Center Station. And currently, our seventh vehicle, our Texrail, we're getting 8 of the DMUs that are constructed by Stadler delivered. Our seventh vehicle got delivered last week. So our 8th vehicle is supposed to be here roughly at the end of May timeframe. So we'll have all 8 by the end of May. Then we go to Mercantile Center Station. We have 295 total spaces for this parking ride lot. What's unique about this station is the parking ride lot is on the opposite side of the station platform. So we had to build a pedestrian grade separation bridge to get passengers from the parking ride lot to the station. Because basically, Texrail is operating on an independent passenger-only track and then adjacent to freight-operated tracks. Here's a Fort Worth and Western Junction Bridge. It's a 1,556 linear foot, 16-span bridge. It flies over the UP Choctaw subdivision again. Then we got Big Fossil Creek in Haltom City and North Richland Hills. If any of you know Iron Horse Golf Course, this is the bridge you cross over going from, I think it's 6 to 7. So we rebuilt this bridge. Bridge was constructed. We had a 6-day outage to basically construct this. What was unique about this was we overbuilt the bent caps where the steel span could be built on site on the bridge caps themselves, and then we slid it into the permanent location. Here's Iron Horse Station, which is at 820 and Iron Horse Boulevard. It's got 376 total spaces. And then our Smithfield Station, which is at Smithfield Road and Mid-Cities Boulevard. It's our biggest parking ride lot. It's got 559 total spaces. Grapevine Station, Grapevine Main Street, is in downtown Grapevine. It's going to have 135 spaces, or it does have 135 spaces, in the parking garage that was built by Grapevine. And you can see the parking structure under construction in this picture here. DFW North is located off Texan Trail and State Highway 114. It is on the DFW Airport property. We have 360 parking spaces at DFW North. And then here's our structure that we fly over 114. Another major construction effort included a lot of lane closures in coordination with TxDOT. This is a new 18-span bridge that's 1,580 foot in length. And basically, here's a picture of, we basically had an area through the airport near ASR 9 that we call the deep cut. The deep cut involved basically moving 400,000 yards of cubic yards of dirt out of there to accommodate our alignment. The route and information, basically our route, like I said, goes from downtown Fort Worth to DFW Terminal B. We've got 9 stations. Our 2 stations in Fort Worth also have bus connectivity, Northside and Mercantile Center. Our schedule is we operate 7 days a week. Our first train in service from TMP starts at 3:30 a.m. The last train finishes after 1 a.m. You can see our full schedule on our website at ridetrinitymetro.org/mytexrail. Again, we're 48 minutes from downtown to DFW Airport. A train departs the ITC, which is now the Fort Worth Central Station, at every half past the hour. Premium service. Our fares are basically $2.50 one way, $5 for a day pass. That'll get you both ways. And we operate every day of the year, 365 days a year. I guess what's next? With the success we've seen from TexRail, there's been a lot of interest in us developing. We had what was known as Segment 1 of our project, which extends from the TMP down to Southwest Fort Worth. It basically included 4 additional stations in Fort Worth. We're looking basically at a phased approach of that. The stations include Medical District, TCU Berry Street, I-20 Granbury, and Summer Creek. The first phase would be 1A, which is TMP to the Medical District. We're exploring ways to get that constructed right now, so we're looking for opportunities to ramp up and get that in construction so it can be in operation quickly. And basically here would be the overall segment map with including segment 1. It basically adds 10 miles to our 27-mile corridor, making it roughly 37 miles in length. And just for your information, we're currently operating under hourly headways. Our ultimate plan is to have 30-minute peak periods in the AM and the PM peaks. We are looking to start that roughly in, hopefully early in July. July of this year is what we're looking at doing on that. So we're currently running 48 trains a day. This increase will basically add trains to where we're running 72 trains per day. And with that, I will leave it up to questions.
We got time for a couple questions.
Gary.
During construction, did you run into any, big issues that were unanticipated?
No, our biggest issue were we had a lot of franchise utility relocation, and getting them to move in a timely manner became a difficulty, especially at the hole in the wall. We had several fiber optic companies we were dealing with to get them out of the way. It took quite a bit longer than we anticipated. So that threw us behind a little bit there.
What were some of the lessons learned during the planning phase all the way to the execution? Is there anything you can share with us?
Lesson learned is, I would say, real estate, utilities, and UP work plan submittal processes are lessons learned. You need to get a handle on those, get them basically advanced early as you can to make sure they get done and they're approved or completed to maintain your schedule. So those 3 big things. Franchise utilities is a huge one. You've got to get started on that as soon as possible and get them moving. Yes, sir.
Ultimately, how much of Texas will this serve?
How much of Texas?
Yeah.
This will serve, basically, it's planned to serve northeast Tarrant County right now. But it connects to basically the light rail system at DFW Airport. So it's got to interconnect with the light rail system. So you can basically take TexRail from Fort Worth to downtown Dallas right now, all the way through. It would take a while, though, is the only problem.
Back. This is the North Express parking, park structure.
Uh-huh.
Why use those there and not use any more?
That was just basically a fast way to complete those structures. You're talking about the conspan structures? Well, yes, sir. Okay. That was just the design concept that was used for those locations.
How different is the dart rail size and type compared to this?
Size and type?
Is it the same?
Gauge is always the same. I think light rail system, they mainly use 115-pound rail. We use 136-pound rail. But it's overall the same.
You could run on trains on either rail.
Well, Dart's electrified. We're not electrified. We're diesel-powered locomotives or flirt vehicles.
Anybody else?